my laptop, so let's get started. Welcome to Windows 7 and Windows Internet Explorer Readiness Assessment with Microsoft Assessment and Planning Toolkit session. My name is Kingsley Daniel. I'm a program manager with the team. So I've been working with the MAP toolkit for almost 4 major releases. So in the last release, I was primarily focusing on the client scenarios, which includes Windows 7, Internet Explorer assessments in the tool. Also, I had worked on the various aspects of the tool. As I will show you, the tool has a broader set of capabilities. However, for this particular session, we are going to focus primarily on the client scenarios, especially on the Windows 7, IE, and based on how much time we have. So I will also show you how you can use the tool for Office 2010 assessments as well. So I'm going to start with a quick introduction to the tool and a concept of a broader set of tools called solution accelerators. Then bulk of the session is going to show you how you can use the tool with your migration projects, especially around the Windows 7 migration to Windows 7 from Windows XP or Windows Vista, or with Internet Explorer migrations either to IE8 or to IE9. And also, based on the time, I will also touch about the Office and also give you a little overview about the new features that are in the tool and also the new features that are coming up in the next release. So I may use the word MAP and Microsoft Assessment and Planning Toolkit. MAP is the acronym we use to refer the long name, Microsoft Assessment and Planning Toolkit. So don't confuse this with the other map, Bing Maps and things like that. So this is another map. So MAP is part of a broader set of tools and guidance Microsoft provides to customers, partners, and IT pros. So it is called, a broader set of tools are called solution accelerators. The purpose of solution accelerators is to help IT pros, partners, and customers to have the tools they need to deploy or to plan or deploy or manage their IT infrastructure. For people who are with the Microsoft work, are you hearing me okay? Getting out, right? Is it better? Okay. All right, thank you. So we have, for the people familiar with the Microsoft Operations Framework, so we have 3 phases in the IT lifecycle: plan, deploy, and manage. So as you can see from the power deck here, so we have tools and guidance in the planning phase. The MAP toolkit especially helps in the planning phase. As a part of the other overall solution accelerators tool set, we have other tools such as a Microsoft Deployment Toolkit and infrastructure planning and design guides. So those are the specific documentation and the guidelines that would help you to address with several IT scenarios, like how do I deploy Active Directory or how do I configure RAS access and across the life cycle. So for this session, we are going to look at zoom in at one tool, that is the MAP toolkit, and especially around the client scenarios that are supported by the tool. So what is MAP? So anybody is familiar with the MAP toolkit? Oh, okay, good. So anyone has used the tool in terms of running an inventory and reviewing the assessments? Okay, good. There are quite a few are already familiar with that tool. So that's great. So I will give the presentation so that the people who are new to the tool will get the information you need, and also for the folks who have used the tool. So I'll try to cover some more advanced topics. And feel free to ask me any questions. So if you have a specific, I'll be showing you a demo of the tool. Most of the presentation is going to be around the demo or how you use the tool to run the assessment. So if you have any question, please feel free to ask me. So what is MAP? So MAP is the is an agentless inventory and assessment tool. So by agentless, what we mean is like in order to run the map tool in your environment, you don't need to install a piece of software or agent in the computers that are deployed in your network. So all you need is a machine that has map installed, and there are a few settings like to open up the remote administration port and few other things. So then the tool would be able to run. So the second aspect of the map is once it has the inventory data, so you can run specific assessments based on the scenario or the migration scenario you are targeted to do. So the tool has in the client side, like I mentioned, so it has Windows 7, Office 2010, and Internet Explorer. And there are several other scenarios around the server side for the Windows Server and also for the Hyper-V. In the last couple of releases, we have also added a support for Azure as well. So you can, if you are looking at moving workloads to either private or public cloud, the tool can help across. So the third aspect of the tool is once you have the assessment done, so the tool gives you the ability to generate reports and proposals. In map parlance, report is an Excel worksheet, so which will have the data. So I will show you all the output when I show you the demo. Then the proposal is a Word document. It is targeted to the decision maker. So if you are after you run the tool, so if you like to give the information to your IT manager or like up in the higher up, so the tool also gives you a readily made proposal, which you can easily give it over. So you will find the tool and also this session very useful. So if you are in the middle of migrating to either Windows or Office or Internet Explorer, so if you have already done the migration, the tool, you may look at get an idea about the tool so that the tool has a broader set of features and capabilities. So you may be able to use the other scenarios supported by the tool. And one thing I would like to point out here is the tool is free. So you can download the tool from microsoft.com/map. So I will also put the resources towards the end of the slide deck. So you can download, partners can download, anyone can download the tool and run within your environment. There are some dependencies for the tool like SQL Server, the Express Edition. So when I do the demo, I will give you a little bit of an intro to those things. So it's fairly straightforward. It's about 13, 14 megs of download. So it's a fairly small download. So as you may aware, so all three Microsoft flagship products, client products are released. So we have Windows 7, Office 2010, and Internet Explorer IE9. So as customers are migrating from various operating systems, from XP to Windows 7 or Vista to Windows 7, then similarly for the Office 2003, 2007 to 2010, similarly for the IE as well. There are customers currently migrating to IE8, and there are also some of them are moving to IE9. So the purpose of this tool is to help you in this process, to give you an idea exactly like how big the migration effort is going to be based on your current environment. There are some customers who plan to upgrade to especially the OS as part of the hardware upgrades. In that case, it may not be very useful, the information for Windows 7 assessment as such. But there are other assessments like IE assessments, you may see it useful. So depending on the migration spectrum of where you are with your organization, so you may see like different aspects of that tool will be useful to you. Just to get an idea of how many of you are in the process of migrating to either Windows 7 or Office. Okay, so that's pretty much looks like everyone. So you can the tool will be very useful for you. So the basic questions, right? So as you may be aware, since you are already working on the migration project, so can I run Windows 7 on my existing infrastructure? Can I run Office 2010? So if I cannot run, so why not, right? So do I need to make the hardware upgrade? Do I need to upgrade memory, or do I need to get the brand new machines? So those are like a plethora of questions now you need to answer. So before you start the project, to understand the time frame and also the overall scope and the effort and the resources needed to do the migration. So this tool will, you can run the map tool and use the reports to get that first cut of information. It helps you to take the next step. Okay, once you have the assessment done, so you have a better understanding about your current environment and what do you need to do in order to go to the desired state, so which is having the latest operating system or Office or the browser in your environment. So like I mentioned briefly, so we have narrowed down the overall workflow of running map in your environment into 3 steps. So the first step is running the inventory step. So I would say the first one is it's a complex and a pretty large step. So the entire the map relies on the inventory data it collects from the environment. So which is, when I say inventory, it's the computers in the network and what operating system they are running and what's the memory, the hardware configuration, and the list of software that are installed. So when map runs the inventory, it collects all the information. So once you go through the first phase, the inventory, running the inventory, the subsequent phases are very trivial. You will see in a minute how easy to generate to run an assessment or generate a report. So the second step is you go to the particular area within the tool based on your specific project. So then you run the particular assessment. If you are doing a Windows 7 migration, so you would run the Windows 7 assessment. And the third step, the last step, is to generate reports and proposals. So a little overview of the architecture of the tool, so you have a little more understanding about what's going underneath when you run the tool. So as I mentioned, the tool runs agentless. The way it runs without agents is through the WMI. So for the WMI, there are some requirements like the remote administration port has to be opened up. So in our guidance, there is a getting started guide that comes with the toolkit download. So there is a section there that kind of outlines the various steps you need to do, preparing the environment. So that's the first step. So once you have the environment, the tool would be able to access the servers or the clients through WMI. So as you can see, it's kind of like a 3-tier architecture. So the first level is where the network is. The second level is where the data collection happens through WMI. So map, in addition to WMI, for the other assessments, it also has capability to collect from various types. So for instance, map has ability to collect data from the Linux machines as Linux machines or VMware servers. So all those certain scenarios would be applicable if you are doing for a server migration or a server assessment. But for client assessment, it's primarily WMI. So internally, it uses a SQL database. So it uses SQL Express. During the setup, it has the option to it will automatically download SQL Express and install it. And if you are running in a very large environment, a SQL Server has a database limit. It used to be 4 GB, now it is 10, so which is a significant difference. So if you want to use, like if you have an enterprise SQL and you want to use that particular SQL, so we have some guidance to how to do that. But out of the box, so map has its own SQL instance of supports 2005, 2008, and 2008 R2. So it installs and stores the information. And for the report generation, so it has the release that is out now has the dependency on Office. As I mentioned, the reports and proposals are nothing but a Word document and Excel worksheets. But however, in the upcoming release, we have removed the dependency, especially for the customers who run map in the data center environment, where they may not have Office installed in a particular machine they are running map. And it is scalability wise, it's fairly good in terms of our the official number is around like 10,000 machines in 45 minutes. So this would give you an idea about if you have I was talking to a gentleman back there, they have like more than 100K machines there. So it will give you an idea about how to face your inventory process. There you want to run it in one full run or run in multiple runs. So you can slice and dice the data in terms of multiple runs. So you don't need to run every time the full network all the time. So the tool has the flexibility for that. And other concern we normally have is around the performance and the scalability, like how much network traffic. So it's not a whole lot. So it's reasonable in terms of the amount it collects. So now let me jump into the next part of the presentation. So here I'm going to walk you through the tool so that you can see what are the steps you have to do to run the tool in your environment. So like I mentioned, the first step is running the inventory. So I will start showing that how you can do it in the tool. So this is the main console of the tool. So for those of you who are seeing the tool for the first time, so you'll see some similarities between System Center like look and feel and with map, but some of the UI artifacts are kind of derived from our other Microsoft manageability products. So here is the main console, and you can see various scenarios that are supported by the clients. For the tool, for the client, we have the 3 large scenarios. Then we have the server. So the cloud scenarios is the recent addition to the tool, especially for the support for the Windows, the Azure platform. So other scenario where this tool gets used a lot is with the server consolidation and the virtualization assessment for Hyper-V. The tool also has several database migration assessment capabilities as well, especially from Oracle, MySQL, and Sybase. So if there is the tree control here. So under the tree control, you'll see the various assessments that are supported. Also for certain scenarios, the tool would need additional information, especially for the server consolidation and the Windows Azure. So they are available separately under performance and consolidation. So let me start with the first step to run the inventory. So for each run, right, so the tool can stores the data in the database. I'm going to create a database. Let's say select a database. So create an inventory database. I will say test2. Hit OK. So once the database is created, then you can start the inventory process. So like I mentioned, so you could target your environment. You can have, like, if you have multiple networks or across geographies, so you can create one database per run, and you can target that way and plan your overall migration project. So I'm going to click on this inventory and assessment wizard. So currently, the next few steps, right? So what I will be doing is I'll be selecting what type of inventory run I need to do in this particular run. So the tool, I'll be selecting, okay, I want to do Windows-based machines or like a Linux or VMware. Then, so once we specify that, then we need the credentials. So this wizard basically walks you through the step-by-step process. And the certain screens would differ, or the new pages would appear based on the options you got selected. Say, for instance, if you selected VMware computers, right? So the screen would be the credentials, and we need a slightly different port numbers. So those screens would appear. So for now, since it's going to be, we are going to focus on the client migration. So I'm going to leave it as the Windows-based computers. So I'll say next. So the next step here is, so once you specify, okay, I'm going to run the Windows, I need to collect data from Windows computers or the other type of products. So the next step is how do I want to discover the computers? So this is the key, another key step here. As you can see, several list of options there. So the tool can connect to the Active Directory and identify and find a list of devices, the computers that are listed in the Active Directory. It also supports Windows networking protocols for a small and medium business or small work groups. There are other options as well, such as scan and IP address range. That we will use if you want to run the inventory within a particular range. So you could specify one to multiple ranges. So depending on this option you select, the screens would be different. So you can specify multiple subnets. The last two options provides you the ability to directly specify computer names either through a text file or manually key in through the user interface. So you would normally use the manually key in option if you are running a test run. So before you kick off the larger run, so if you want to run and see whether you can target a particular run and see whether you will get to the computer or not. So the manually enter computer names option you can use if you have already a manageability product that is deployed in your infrastructure. So you could get a list of machine list, just a simple text file, one host per line. You get that list from your existing product, manageability product, then input to the tool. So the tool can also connect to SCCM, System Center Configuration Manager, and get the list. So tool has a very broad range of options to discover computers. So I would say when you start the migration project, you know very well about your network infrastructure, and see how you can segment your run. And just once you have this understanding of various options that are there, so then you can provide the input to the tool based on your objective. So for this particular test run, I'm going to just use the manually enter computer. I'll say import computer names from a file. So for this demo, I'm going to just run against my the laptop here. Say next. So once we specify what type of inventory to run and what methods to use to discover computers, so now the next step is to specify the credentials. I'm going to specify my credential here. And as you can see here, there is an applies to here. So if I had selected multiple options like WMI or SQL or like a VMware, so then you need to specify this credential is applicable to a particular collection technology. So again, this is the next level of a flexibility for you. So like if you have multiple credentials, so you can target, like I want to apply this credential to a particular set of collection technology. Say save. So the next step here gives you a little more flexibility in terms of ordering credentials. So if you have similar same credentials or the login name used across the different computers with the different passwords, or like if you are running in a order, like if running a larger subnet first, if a credential A is going to have the credential, if it is the right credential for the larger network, and if you are running with and also have a small subnet that is using credential B, so you could order so that you can put the highest hit at the top. So the map would try to connect to the machines with the credentials you have specified. So you can basically make it efficient, the run more efficient by ordering the credentials in the order you know would be the right order to run the inventory. So the next step here is since I selected the importer computer names, so here I am presented with this UI to specify the list of the files. I'm going to say create. So I'll add a file. So I have and this screen also gives you a flexibility in terms of whether you want to use the credentials you specified earlier, or if you want to specify a new set of credentials for the file you imported. So I'm going to just say, okay, use the credentials I already provided. So I'll say save. Hit next. So here's the summary view of the information we specified in the previous screens. So the key things that to take away here, right? So once you know once you have an idea about what the scope of the project, how the network essentially is laid out. So then you need to, within the map tools standpoint, you need to specify how do I discover those computers in my network. So is Active Directory is the right way to do it, or I say I have to use the import file. So determine that. Then the credentials. The credentials is a key. So make sure the credentials you specify to the tool kind of goes with the credentials the way you wanted the tool to use. So once that is done, right, so the mapping from the collection, how to inventory those computers, then what credentials to use, then the process is straightforward. So the environment preparation is the key. So understanding the network, how you are going to run the tool, is that's where a lot of, I would say, the customers who use the challenges they normally face. Other thing you can use is there is a program called WebM test. That's kind of like a litmus test. See whether the map tool would work across a particular, if you're not sure, okay, the credentials I'm going to specify in this IP address is going to work in this scenario or not. I would say this is a free tool, WebM test. Just run the tool. You can connect to the computer. If that tool can connect, the map would definitely connect as well, because they both use the same WMI technology and both are from Microsoft. So I'll say finish. So now the actual inventory process is started, so it's running. So I specified my domain credentials. It's actually I'm not connected to the CorpNet, so normally it takes a little longer. So in that scenario, so if I had used a local account, it will be instant, it will be very fast. So as I mentioned, the scale, this is the time where the tool goes and collects the information from each and every computer discovered. So if you're just given the Active Directory, so then the tool would go and enumerate the machines, and it will connect to them and get the information. So scalability wise, like in our lab test, it's about 10,000 machines and 45 minutes. So every release we add more capabilities. So for this particular release, right, so we added the ability to add inventory and make assessments for Internet Explorer. So when we add new scenarios, we collect, in some cases we collect additional data, so that would bring our numbers a little bit down. It kind of varies. So most of the things, like I mentioned, it's about the network configuration and getting those machines in terms of preparing your environment. So once that part is done, and if you make sure, like do a test run and see whether the map can connect to those machines, then you're all set to run the tool. Another thing I would say is as the tool runs, just you don't need to entirely fully watch the tool to run for, like it may take sometimes if you have like 40,000, 50,000 computers, it would take a couple of hours to run the tool. So you can pay attention to the numbers here. So they would say newly discovered computers, and you'll say success and failure rates. So for research, if you see a lot of failure rates, that's a good indication of something is not right, either in terms of discoverability or like a couldn't. Yes.
How do you exactly do the same query in the same database and those machines which weren't online at that time? How can I repeat the same query in the same database?
Right. The question is, let's say if I run the inventory now, and a lot of machines are offline, especially in the remote access scenarios, right? Or different time zones. So then the tool won't be able to collect. How can I collect information from the same machines again? So if you in the same database, yes. So the tool internally, right, it checks. So when you run the inventory again and when you run every time you run the inventory, you can use the same database or a new database. In that case, you use the same database. So when you respecify the inputs, the tool checks for the machines that are previously failed, also for the machines that are newly online. So if it finds the machines that are new machines during this, let's say, second run, it would add those new machines to the same database. So that way, if you are in like a different time zones or like a different branch office scenarios, so you use the same database, and next you run another run and use the same database, run at the right time window where those machines would be available. Okay. So just pay attention to this status bar, the status window. So this is where it is key, because you don't want to run the tool for like a 4 or 5 hours, then come back and say, okay, I have pretty much a lot of failures, right? So initially, at least get an idea of how far they do a test run and say how far the success rate in terms of discovering and inventorying the machines. Then you can start a full run. So this is done. So I'll say close. So I'll go to this inventory summary results section. So this section, so after you run the inventory, this section, this node lists the computers that are in the database. So this will give you an idea about how many machines. I will show you a different database with more computers. So what I will do is, I'll open another database now. Select a database. I have a. So this particular database has more computers. This is from our internal lab. So this is a more realistic example where it is a different errors, connection timeout. So these are the machines that are success. So this will give you an idea about, okay, what's the how many machines are there? Machines are inventoried, and what is the status of that machines are? Because this is very key. Because if we have more good data, then only we'll be able to make the right assessment.
Can I filter off the virtual machines, because this doesn't really make sense to check that over the separated?
The tool, right? That when you run the inventory, the data could be used for across the scenarios supported by the tool. So the tool would collect any machine that is discovered during the process. However, right, once you have the reports for if you want to filter out the data from the virtual machines, once you see the Excel report, you can easily filter the data if you don't want to use that. Right? So like it's all, if you don't want to run on the VMs, it's all you can control the input in terms of, okay, don't run on this particular domain or this subnet, then the tool won't discover. So now let's. So the next step is, so I showed you how to run the inventory. So this is the, as I mentioned, I'll say it again, the inventory is the key step. So that's where you will be spending most of the time with the tool, understanding how to run the tool in your network. So the next step is running the specific assessment. So I'll start with Windows 7 assessment. So now that we have the data, so I'll jump into the next part of the session. Here we have, so as you can see, various assessments are here. So I'm going to click on Windows 7 Readiness. See, that's all assessment is done. So when assessment doesn't take the time at all, so it's readily available. So as you can see from the information here, the pie chart and the table shows the current state of the machines. So for instance, we have like four different buckets here. The first one here is ready for Windows 7. So that category, also the green one here, green in the pie chart. So that shows the number of machines that meet the hardware requirements to deploy Windows 7. So just from the operating system standpoint, it doesn't go into like applications and all that. Just from the base operating system standpoint, you can these many computers, in this case like a 92, can readily deploy Windows 7. And the next group here, which says not Windows 7 ready. So which means, so you need to do either you need to do some changes to these machines to get to have Windows 7 installed. It could be like adding more memory or adding more disk space. So the tool will give you specific details. I will show you that. So this within the UI, you will get after the run a very high level view of okay, what is the level of readiness of my environment for Windows 7. So as I can go further down here, the next one is cannot run Windows 7. So these are the legacy. Yes.
Is that when it's Windows 7 ready? Is that 32 or 64?
You know, so you mean 32-bit?
32-bit or 64-bit? Does it distinguish between the two?
We do both.
Oh, okay.
We do both. Okay. So the next graph here shows okay that the to-be environment. Okay, after you make the hardware upgrade suggested by the tool, so what's the future scenario could look like? So there are machines that are like if you don't have the data, they go under this insufficient data bucket. So those are the machines that would either have a connection timeout or like a credentials not correct. So then the next section here, the last one, it's kind of a key. So especially if you have different devices, the legacy devices that are deployed. So the last one, device compatibility summary section, tells the device driver status of the migration scenario. So how many devices the tool found that already has drivers supported in Windows 7 on the media, or like how many is available from the Microsoft update that for others from the third party. So this information gives you the idea about okay, how's my device compat. So especially like some specific based on the organization type, right? So you may have special type of scanners or plotters or printers. So if you don't Windows, this will give you an idea about okay, so do I need to get the drivers? Is it available? Is it supported? If not, where can I get it? So the next one more thing I'd like to point out here is, so this is the by default, right? The tool runs and uses the settings that are recommended and suggested by Windows 7. So here you can see for x86 and x64 the requirements are there. However, there are cases where the base OS requirement won't be adequate to run specific applications you might have deployed in your environment. So in that case, you can come and increase the resources and rerun the assessment. One thing that would normally come into picture is like the DVD-ROM not found. So having a DVD-ROM drive is one of the requirements. But if you are deploying through OS imaging or other means or like terminals that don't have a DVD-ROM, then we want to flag those as ready. So in that case, you can turn that check off. So that way, the tool won't check whether make as a DVD-ROM present as a requirement for the assessment. So you have a little flexibility in terms of just from the resource standpoint. So if you are deploying Windows 7 plus Office and additional custom software, right? So you can run an assessment based on that. So I'll cancel it. So next, the last step, the third step, like I mentioned, from the overall workflow standpoint, first is running the inventory. So next is reviewing running the assessment and looking at the results. The third step is to generate the reports and proposals. So I'll say generate report and proposal. Again, in a map terminology, so report is a worksheet, Excel worksheet. The proposal is a Word document. So now the tool is generating those two documents. So for each assessment, I would say for most of the assessments, you will get a report and a proposal. There are some specific assessments in the tool. You may see only a report, will not have a proposal with that, but at large you will have a report and proposal for each scenario. So I'll say close. So now there's an option of view saved reports and proposals. I'll go there. So as you can see, I ran like a whole bunch of different assessments before. So if you look at the two report, the latest ones that are generated, they are right here. So I'll start with a Word document. So I showed the results in the UI. The same information is taken from the database and also summarized in this Word document. So this is this proposal or document is targeted for the decision maker. So if you are the decision maker, so you have this information in a nice summary format, it is ready for processing. Or like if you want to give it to somebody else within your organization, so we have the template. You can use it as a template content, take it, and you can have your own. If you are a partner, you can take the logos of your company and you can customize it. So I'll give you a little quick overview of the proposal. So all the proposals that are generated from the tool follows the similar pattern. So they start with business and the value prop of the product. In this case, it's Windows 7. So it highlights some of the key features of Windows 7. Then the second part, which is the assessment results and summary. So this is where the data from the assessment, the inventory data collected, it goes into the proposal that is specific to your inventory run. And the last section is about next steps. So some of the resources that would help you with the overall migration project. So I'll quickly skim through this. So I have executive overview, then the key highlights about Windows 7. So I want to spend a couple of minutes here. So assessments, results, and summary. So this is a nice format to summarize the information I showed you in the UI. So here the same chart and the same table would be there. And also it has a few additional slice and dice to look at the information. So here you have the current status, then so the additional information about what happens after the upgrade. So here is the different view of the data. So recommended hardware upgrade. So here it shows what type of hardware upgrades are the tool recommending. So here in this case, so how many machines we need to do the memory upgrades, how many machines we need the hardware disk space. So it's like for you to scope the work. So there are like different ways of different summaries. Then software analysis. So this is where the device driver information. So how many computers already have the device drivers and media is there. And operating system analysis. It's essentially a itemized list of various OSs that are deployed in your environment. Yes, question. For the question is, does the tool does assessment specific to BitLocker? So the tool it doesn't do the specific assessment for BitLocker. It does mainly on the requirements for the Windows 7, just for the base operating system assessment. Now I'll be maybe after that I'll like to maybe talk to you and see is there any specific thing you can give us some feedback around that if you like. I see. There are one thing I would like to point out is that the map collects information without agents through WMI. So certain pieces of information is not available through WMI. So in that case, map won't be able to make that type of assessment. So I believe this is one of them that we need from the chip, whether it supports or not. So operating yes, question. Yeah. So there are like map uses WMI to collect information. There are certain like down level operating system like XP or certain properties, right? We won't get from that using during the run. So in that case, you would see those.
But it shows for Vista and Windows 7 as well. If
here. Yeah, I'll look into that. Normally, so the data, if you don't, so there are certain properties in some cases, right? We don't get, the tool doesn't get the data. So it could be like we need to, normally we want to troubleshoot if there is a larger problem, right? So then we go and see. At large, we will be able to get the data from, if it is like a latest OSS, we will get the information. And this is where the report will be helpful, so you can filter out and target the machines based on the data points you see that's not correct. So then next steps here. So next steps, this outlines various other tools that are available and the guidance that are available for you to process take the next step with the information the tool provided. So next I will show the report. So the two views, the assessments and the results we saw, one in the UI, the other one in the proposal, they are more like a summaries and gives you the what's the current status, and it just gives you a little bird's eye view of how big the migration scope is. So the last bit of information, the fine level of detail is available in the report. So as you can see, this is like Excel worksheet with various workbook with various worksheets. So several pieces of information. So also it starts with, let me just go to the finest level of details that is available. So as you can see here for each machine, so every single bit of the data that is collected by the tool is here. So you can, things that I would like to point out here is this one here, current Windows category. So for each machine, so you get the result, whether it's a meets minimum system requirements and the different other values here. So let me filter it here so I can, since the information is available in Excel, it is very easy for you to sort and filter. So let's say I want to see the machines that are that doesn't meet the requirements. I'll say not ready for Windows 7. So these are the computers that did not meet the requirement. So here you will see a lot of machines, DVD-ROM drive not found. This is primarily because this is from our lab run. So in our lab, we are heavily virtualized. So most of our machines are running as VMs. They normally don't have a DVD-ROM. So that's why you see that error message a lot. Then, so this particular, again, goes to the disk space. This has a lot of VMs. So we normally don't keep a lot of resources allotted for the VMs because we have a couple of hundred machines in the lab. So primarily you will see either the DVD-ROM or the disk space in this particular inventory run. Okay. So this gives you an idea about final drill down level. So you can filter it by various headers here. So it goes all the way to the end. So then let me show you a couple of other things. So this worksheet here shows the assessment values used, which I showed you in that custom assessment properties. So here it shows the information here. Then I'll say device summary. So this is more information about devices found during the assessment. This list will be pretty long list. So again, this information, just use this information to see how the device, from the device compared standpoint. So do I have the device drivers for all the key devices or the key machines for my networks? Then we have device details. So another level, another view of the device driver information. So here is the summaries of just filters the minimum after upgrades. That means these all the computers meet the minimum requirements after you make the upgrades. So you don't need to always do the Excel sort and filter. So come to this worksheet and you can select these machines or just filter it or review it. So recommended after machine. So these are the list of computers that meet the recommended system requirements after you make the upgrade. So discovered applications, again, this is a big list of applications that are discovered, sort by their number of installations, instances found. So this gives you an idea about so what are all the applications that should be in my hit list when I work on this, when I kick off this migration. So so if you see a lot of Microsoft applications, this may not be a major concern there. If a lot of the applications their latest versions already available. So I would say just focus on line of business applications that you have developed, and if they are heavily used, you need to make sure those applications you have a strategy for supporting on Windows 7. Okay, so that's about Windows 7 assessment. I'll say don't save. So next I would like to show you how you can use the tool to help you with IE Internet Explorer migration. So for Windows 7, IE Internet Explorer and Office 2010. Yes, question? The question is that tool will discover third-party applications. So it will discover any application. So the tool uses, it finds the add remove program, any application that is registered as part of the Windows installation process. If it appears in the add remove programs, right, the tool would be able to, regardless of it's a Microsoft, it's a third-party app like other vendor, or like your line of business applications. Okay, so I think this is from the lab run. So normally you'll see a lot of PDF writers and Acrobat PDF readers. So we do any application that is registered within the Windows installation framework. What is that? Yeah. So the tool, right, doesn't exactly assess the third-party software. It tells what is installed or not. So it won't. This map tool, right, doesn't tell whether the third-party application would run after you migrate. It gives you the information for you to take the next step. Okay, so if you, let's say you find your one application that's been like 100 computers, right? So you need to make sure you have a plan for supporting that application after the upgrade. Okay, so for all the client scenarios, you just need to run the inventory once. Again, like based on if you want to run into different segments and geographies, you have to run, but you don't need to run the inventory for various scenarios, at least for the client scenarios. So I will go to the next scenario here, Internet Explorer Discovery. So since I took you through in details about the Windows 7 assessment, the other scenarios, they also form the same pattern. So you have the results in the UI, then the proposal, the Word document has the information for the decision makers, then also you have the final drill down machine by machine in the Excel worksheet. So for Internet Explorer, what the tool does is it does the two key things mainly. So the first is to shows you the browser landscape in terms of how many different versions of browsers you are currently using. So this information will be useful either you are going for there are customers who are currently going through IE8 right migration, so they can use that information as well, and there are customers who are directly going to IE9. So this information will be helpful in both scenarios. So the key thing I like to point out here is like how for the Windows 7 assessment, the tool showed you the list of applications that are installed. So from the IE migration standpoint, the tool provides about the Internet IE add-ons, especially the browser helper objects or any toolbars that are deployed. So this information will be useful for if you have a large set of add-ons developed for the previous versions of IE, IE6, IE7, then this will give you the information you need in terms of making sure you have a plan for bringing those browser helper objects or the add-ons as you migrate the browser. As you can see, the tool also can inventory, just a list, display or a report on the third-party browsers that are deployed as well. So here provides additional resources. So you can see this in the UI. We display UI in the proposal. We display only the top 20 applications based on the install count, but the Excel worksheet has more information. So I will go and generate the report and proposal. So all three client scenarios are very similar. So the tool gives you the current state and what the requirement, have the machines met the system requirements. So if not, it gives the details about what needs to be done. So I will close this. So you can see both for IE. So there is a IE proposal here. So currently the version I'm showing here is the 5.5 version, so which was launched in January. So we have a beta coming up pretty soon, end of this month, which is 6.0. So that has the full support for IE6. So currently it's at IE8. So the next version, the end of in a couple of weeks actually. So we'll have fully IE9. So it talks about IE8 benefits here. So it should look very similar to the Windows 7 assessment. So we have various summaries of information the tool found. Okay. So then I'll quickly show the report here. So here, so client details, this is where you get the fine level of information. So you have the client machine name, what OS it is running, then whether it's capable of running Windows 7. So the Windows 7 is also a separate assessment. From the IE standpoint also you can take a look at it. Then what is the default browser, the number of browsers installed, then ActiveX controls on a machine by machine basis. So if you have like a particular subnet or like a particular work group, they have more BHOs or add-ons deployed, so you can get an idea based on the count here. Then you can target the plan for how you want to migrate them. So add-on details. So this is the more granular depth of each of the different add-ons deployed. So in this, for instance, so we have been checking with the various third-party toolbars as well. So you can see Facebook, installations. Other thing is it also shows how many of them are installed across various browsers. So 6, 7, 8, 9. So in your environment. File name. Okay. So I like to keep speed up a little bit so that we'll have some more time for Q&A at the end. Yes, sir, is a question?
Yeah, the list of the add-ons that are listed, does the assessment tool tell you whether those add-ons would be compatible with the next version?
The question is, will the tool be able to tell whether a particular add-on is compatible or not? For both for the add-ons and the applications, the tool doesn't exactly make recommendations or it is a particular add-on is compatible or not. It gives you what is installed. So it doesn't exactly tell you, okay, can you run the same add-on in the next version of the browser. So there are one of the tools. If you look at the IE's the site, right? So there is another tool called Internet Explorer Compatibility Toolkit. There are other tools that are available that would help you to make the actual add-on assessment. Add-on is one. The key thing is about the web page compat. So if you are like IE5 or IE6, there are certain, if you use the scripting and the CSS, certain attributes will not work or will not be fully supported. So for that, you have to use take the next step in terms of guidance specific to the product. So for add-ons, we have to use IE's tools to make those analysis. Yes. No, that is Act is another tool you can use, but currently you have to do it manually, so you won't be able to automatically import the data. It's not. just you can take the data. The tool doesn't do a live import or anything, but you can manually get the machine names from the Excel worksheet and give it as an input to the tool. Any other questions? Okay, so the next part. So I'll quickly show the Office 2010 readiness assessment as well. So as you can see, this is very similar to Windows 7 assessment. So we show the current state versions of Office and what machines are ready for the next version of the Office. Yes.
We ran this assessment. We have engineers, 10 of them, that have already upgraded just Excel and the Office Tools 2010. When you run this tool, it shows them as already completed the full Office install with workstation, even though Excel, Outlook, and all the others have been updated.
Oh, I see. Okay. So that's okay. Thanks for that. No, I'll take a look into it.
Because it's looking at the tools.
Okay.
The tools had to be installed for their add-on to work. And once the tools were added on there, then this assessment tool says they think the whole Office product is installed.
I see. So it just looks for the particular. Okay. So we can. Good. Thanks for the feedback. So we can take care of that. Okay. So let me switch by Office. Another thing I want to point out is you have all the reports on the sample database all available in the web. So you can, before you run the tool, you can download the actual sample documents and the reports and take a look at it and see what information you would get. So that way, you know what's the output you would get. Then if you know that okay, that is going to be useful to you, that you can target the run accordingly. So I'll switch back to deck. Anyway, we covered a bunch of the things. I have it in the deck here. So we have Windows 7 assessment. We went through it. Internet Explorer. Then Office. So for the new features in MAP, right? So currently the release version is 5.5, like I said. We released in January of this year. So our tool, we normally try to do like one release every 6 months. So they're constantly adding new scenarios and new features and new capabilities in the tool. For the version that is right now, we are there. So the whole Internet Explorer assessment is a new one. Then we added for the Windows Azure. Then also from the server side, we did a few improvements in terms of database assessment, for especially around Oracle and MySQL. And server consolidation is another area we constantly improve the tool as more customers are migrate to the Hyper-V or the private cloud. So the tool has to give that information they need. So one thing I would like to mention is we have MAP 6.0 that is coming. It's going to beta in a couple of weeks. So I would say watch for that. From the client assessment standpoint, IE9 is the key scenario there, and you have a lot of scenarios around the private cloud and Azure assessment. So we have several scenarios on the server side coming up on MAP 6.0. So again, we can go to the main site, Microsoft.com map. So by end of this month, you will have a link to participate in the beta program. So feel free to register, download, and give us feedback. So what's next? So here are this slide here gives you the links you need to download the tool, and also the database I used is also published. That's part of we have a document like sample reports and training kit. So the training kit has the various databases for you ready to download and run it within the tool and play with the tool. So you want to give you enough information in terms of the tools and reports beforehand, because running the inventory is the key step. So you want to make sure before you start the migration project, right, you can play around with the sandbox type environment, play with the tool, and get the overall workflow. Then you can run it within your environment. So here are the additional resources, related content. So there is a hands-on lab so that has this map toolkit and the databases, all I showed you here in the hands-on lab section area. So if you are interested, feel free to go and you can actually run the tool by yourself without even installing and things like that. In the conference itself, you can play with it. And a few other sessions that are happening around client migration or the assessment scenarios are also highlighted here. So one thing I would like to point out is the Microsoft Deployment Toolkit. So that is that's another solution accelerator that helps with the actual deployment of images. So once you get the assessment done, so you want to deploy this images, OS images on across the machines. So the MDT, we call it MDT, or Microsoft Deployment Toolkit, would help. So resources about the other tracks that are happening in the conference are listed here as well. You might have seen in the other sessions here, so further resources. And one thing I would like to ask is, it will be appreciated if you can fill out the feedback form. So we take the feedback and try to improve the tool or improve the sessions in terms of information you would like to get presented in these conferences. If you can take a minute and fill out the feedback, that will be great. So there is some competition. It's also happening here, prices. And if you have mobile, so you can use the tag to give the instant quick feedback, I would say. So we have a few more minutes left. So I'll be here to answer any specific question.